Hey guys, it's Jim here with another Vinyl Kaiju review. Today we're going to look at my first review of an Ultra Kaiju, this one being the Godzilla's Gang Popy Eleking from 1979. Now, Eleking is one of my favorite Ultra monsters, so I knew I had to pick this up when I saw it for what ended up being about $5 including shipping. But it's actually a pretty cool figure with an interesting history. Apparently this was sculpted and done by Popy and released in the US by Mattel. Now the series is called Godzilla's Gang, but if you look at one of the cards that came with the figures, I don't have it, but you can look it up on Club Tokyo. They call it Godzilla's Gang, but the only Godzilla monster in it is Godzilla himself. The rest are all Ultra Kaiju, so that's kind of funny that they include that as Godzilla's Gang. But nonetheless, they're pretty cool figures, and for vintage, they're not that expensive, especially if you can find one like this. Usually I see them for about 20 to 50 bucks, but we'll talk about price later. Anyway, to get into reviewing the figure itself, well, let's look at the vinyl first. Now, you have to consider what an old toy this is, but that considered, it's really not bad. It's really actually a little bit sturdier feeling than the early Marmot figures, I would have to say. So pretty good there. When I move the arms, it kind of feels like they could break if you played with them too much. So I wouldn't recommend if you have one of these, making it something that you fiddle around with and fight against your other monsters if you're into that kind of thing. You know, don't take it out in the sandbox, kids. But otherwise, I really can't complain about that. The color on it is, I mean, it's a decent yellow. I guess that's kind of like Eleking. It actually, come to think of it, it looks pretty good for what Eleking looked like in the original Ultra 7 series. Kind of dirty yellow. So no complaints there. Sculpt-wise, well, it's got the basic body shape of Eleking, right? The tail is awfully stubby, but it's an old toy and it's kind of stylized. I'm not going to fault it too much for that. It's got this nice ridge on the back. I guess Eleking does kind of have that. If you look at pictures, he's got this weird kind of stripe of raised bumpiness there. So that's right. He's got kind of, you know, that electric pattern sculpted out. So you get some skin detail there. None of the kind of, well, I guess there's some folds like you might kind of see on a suit. Get my finger out of the way there. So I don't know, really not too bad detail. The part of the figure I like best are the hands, though. Kind of looks like he's DJing. You could imagine him with some scratching going on there. And I also really like the head. The antennae are done really pretty nicely. Those look cool. And the face looks really cool. I like the detail, the teeth there. Just kind of a quirky, cool figure. Very nice. I like it. Okay, paint-wise, pretty basic, really. I guess more or less random sprays of black. Can't really complain about it for its age, but then again, you know, you can't say it's very nicely done either, because ideally the black would be in these kind of electric shapes that they sculpted into the figure, whereas it's just kind of sprayed all over. Not a huge deal, and it still gets the Eleking look, so it's not perfect, but it's really not that bad either. And then on the face, they got it on the teeth decently. There's some white paint. There's some slop. It's a very old toy made for kids. But, you know, I'm not going to give it a total pass for that. You got to say, you know, honestly what's going on here. And there's some sloppiness to it. It's not the greatest. The black apps of paint do look pretty good on the head and face, though. Okay. So, articulation. Pretty basic, standard stuff for a vinyl figure. Legs, arms, head, all rotate. Not going to force 360. If you care, you can buy one and try it out yourself. No tail articulation, but again, the tail is already kind of disappointing because it's on the short side. Can't really fault it, but it's not great either. Okay, let's do some scale. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually have any Bandai figures to scale with it. Those are probably the most common, or Ultraman Bandai, I should say. I have some Kaiju, but I don't have Ultraman Bandai, so we're going to go ahead and scale him next to Ultra 7, the Ultra Act. Get him to stand up here. This is one reason I don't like super articulated figures. You have to fill around with them too much to get them to do what you want. But there you go. Okay, so as you can see, he's underscaled for Ultra 7 or any other Ultra Act. But they don't look that bad together. I posed them for some kind of cool shots. Nonetheless, underscaled. Okay, well, if he's underscaled for that, he's obviously going to be underscaled for the Ultra Act Eleking. Very much so. But it is kind of nice to look at very different interpretations of the same character from many years apart. There are similarities and differences. I think they both really get the look of the character overall, but you can't really say that this one has better paint and sculpt. Alright, let's compare it to a fairly common Bandai figure, Red King. Now, again, I think Eleking is supposed to be a little taller than Red King. I don't really remember for sure. But nonetheless, this figure is a notch smaller than the 6-inch scale line or the Ultra Act line. So scale is not a good thing for this figure, unless you've got the rest of the Godzilla gang. Alright, overall score. Well, you know, you gotta take it for the vintage figure it is. Can't really compare it to the new ones on the exact same level, but for its time, I think I'll give it, let's say an 8 out of 10. I think the sculpt on it is actually quite nice. It captures the character nicely. The paint apps are not bad, but I think that's one area it could have been improved. So that's where it loses points. Price-wise, well, I think about $20 to $25, maybe $30 is a fair price on this guy. Don't go more than $50 on him because he's not that scarce unless you're getting one of the Japanese ones. This is one of the ones released in the US, I believe. Or if you're really lucky like me, you can pay $5 shipped. Alright, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have some more Ultra Kaiju coming for you at some point in the future. Maybe somebody wants to send me an Ultraman so I can scale him up, right guys? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll have another review for you soon.